Welcome to Learnstroke. This is Daily News Leads. Now, let's have a glimpse of the important articles from today's Hindu. The first one. GST collections dip in August, but Finance Ministry sees growth. Revenue crossed 1 lakh crore, which shows economy is recovering at a fast pace. GST is a very important area for UPSC exams, be it for your prelims or your mains. So, this is regarding the GST collections. So, we know that post-COVID or during the pandemic, the economy has shown many fluctuations and it definitely had its implications in the GST collections also. GST revenues in August fell to 1.12 lakh crore from 1.16 lakh crore collections in the previous month. So from this article, the important concept that you need to learn, understand and analysis is GST or the Goods and Services Tax. The next one, something about COVID. It's an article for your general awareness. Breakthrough infections on expected lines. Report. Vaccines continue to protect against severe diseases, says INSACOG. So this is regarding the efficacy of vaccines. And the important thing that you note in this article is what is INSACOG? INSACOG is India SARS-CoV-2 Genome Consortium. It is a consortium of laboratories coordinated by the Department of Biotechnology. So this is just one explanation regarding INSACOG, but you should definitely understand in detail the functions and areas of operations of INSACOG. So this is yet another important article on economy. Split accounts to tax EPF income. So this is regarding the split in EPF accounts into two separate ones. That is, the EPF accounts will have to be bifurcated into taxable and non-taxable contribution account. So this is very important from your exam point of view. I said taxation is very important from all perspectives. That is, be it for your prelims, your mains, your essay, or even regarding opinion formation for your interview. So have a clear-cut understanding about India's public finance and especially about the taxation concepts. And there is an act mentioned in this article, that is the Income Tax 25th Amendment Rules 2021. Definitely try to understand what the Income Tax 25th Amendment Rules is all about. So in the photograph, what you can see is forest guards getting ready for patrolling in a boat from their flooded camp in the Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary in Morrigaon district of Assam. So this is very important for your GS1 geography, both in terms of map reading and also for geophysical phenomena. You all know the Assam floods is a very serious issue these days. Try to understand where the Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary is located and any specifications for this wildlife sanctuary, if any. So talking about today's editorial, fleeting cheer, fiscal measures should ensure overall consumption demand does not weaken. So this is regarding the latest GDP estimates that was there in the newspaper yesterday also. The latest GDP estimates expectedly show that the national output rebounded in Q1 of the current fiscal from the record contraction in April-June 2020 when the pandemic's onset and the lockdown gutted the economy. So all the recent economic analysis is based on the repercussions of the COVID pandemic. So for this year's exam, every time you read something about economics, the recent analysis and recent trends, make sure that the repercussions are very serious in the COVID pandemic times. And the article also mentions about it. The second COVID-19 wave extracted a significant toll is evident. So this year's economy is very much related to the COVID pandemic. The next one, it is for a general reading, the prognosis for school reopenings. A model shows that a rise in cases in children could occur, but in-person schooling can proceed with caution. This is regarding the school reopenings in the context of the COVID pandemic. Good enough for a general reading. The next one from the editorial, for a bona fide press. High Court order for weeding out fake journalists is well intentioned but needs wide consultation. This is regarding the Tamil Nadu, that is the state government to establish a press council of Tamil Nadu within 3 months. The Madras High Court has come close to formulating policy and legislation. So this is very important as far as the press perspective is considered. So though it's good for a general reading, you can quote such examples while writing essays. As of now, Press Council of India performs the watchdog role about public complaints, but without any substantive enforcement powers. So have a good reading about the Press Council of India as well, its functions and its limitations. Next article is again for a general reading, where liberalism and nationalism are placed in Asia. India and China have used the present world system to fashion their rise with no alternative based on Asian nationalism. So this is all about the liberalism and nationalism with specific reference to India and China. So good enough for a general reading for a better understanding about the Asian democracy. Next is an important article for your GS3, that is for environment. India must commit to net zero emissions. The country will need to take a stand on climate change action or risk being cast globally as an outlier. So this is regarding the emissions reduction. India is at the risk of being cast globally as an outlier on climate action with a negative fallout. With over 50% of the global economy already committed to net zero emissions by 2050 and China committing to be so before 2060, this is not where you want to be. So this is regarding India's failures or India's limitations as far as the emissions reduction is considered. And the COP26 is mentioned, that is the United Nations Climate Change Conference. Take an account of that. Next is regarding the Paris Agreement. Over 100 countries have already committed to net zero emissions by 2050, with more expected at COP26. And something about India and Australia is mentioned. Two key holdouts are India and Australia. So a comparison between India and Australia, various measures taken by the two is given. Take note of that. And they also have a mention about the group of 77 or the G77 states. I know it's not that easy to mug up all the 77 states which all are that, but have a rough or a vague idea which all other countries. You should have an average idea about it, even if you are not able to remember all the 77. Then there is a mention about the ASEAN and APEC, APEC and ASEAN. Take note of both the organization. The transition of the global economy to net zero emissions is the biggest commercial opportunity in history. This statement can be asked for your essay. So don't forget that. The transition of the global economy to net zero emissions is the biggest commercial opportunity in history. So when you write an essay, it should be a mix of facts and analysis. So this article needs a very serious reading. Gauging household income, key for microfinance clients. An assessment of cash inflows can avoid over indebtedness. So I think you all know what the concept of microfinance is all about. It was Muhammad Yunus from Bangladesh who popularized the concept. If you are not yet sure about the concept, make sure you have a good reading about it. It's a very important concept in economics. And this article says that RBI recently released consultative document on regulation of microfinance in June 2021. So such documents are important. Even for their prelims, there are questions from both economics and environment quoting an important document and asking you who released it. So take note of this document. And Malegam committee report is also mentioned. For those who don't know, try to understand what the Malegam committee report is about. So the next three articles are follow-up of what we already discussed in the front page. The first one is GST collections dip but ministry sees growth. In this article, they have mentioned a concept, PMI or the Purchasing Managers Index. Over these days, we have been discussing various indexes from economics, the CPI, the WPI, IIP and so on. So today there is something new, that is the PMI or the Purchasing Managers Index. Make sure that you know what the PMI is all about. And they also have a mention about the central GST and the state GST. So when you understand the concept of GST, try to find out what central GST and state GST is all about, the difference between the two, and the contribution from various sectors to CGST and SGST. Next article is also a continuation of what we read in the first page, breakthrough infections on expected lines, something about the vaccinations and the INSACOG. The third one, split accounts to tax EPF income ministry. I have already explained it. Next one is a very interesting and a very informative article, a proud moment for all Indians. High honor for naval aviation. Ramnath Kovind to award President's Color to INS Hansa based in Goa. So this article mentions a clear history of the Indian naval system. So go through it, try to understand the important contributions made by Indian Navy over the years. You don't need to mug up, but you should have a fair understanding. And you should understand what the President's Color is. The President's Color is the highest honor bestowed on a military unit in recognition of its exceptional service to the nation. So try to read more about the President's Color, the contributions of Indian naval aviators. Next one, something very important for your international relations perspective, very important for your prelims as well. 200 army personnel for Zapat exercise. China, Pakistan taking part as observers in the multinational exercise in Russia. So the Zapat exercise, Zapat 2021 is being held at Nizhny in Russia from this 3rd to 16th of this month. That is from tomorrow to 16th. So try to find out what the Zapat 2021 is, and 17 countries are participating in this exercise. Few are observers while the others are participating countries. So try to find out which all are the participating countries and which are the observer countries. If you are able to remember it, well and good. If not, have a vague idea at least. Okay, next article is for your GS2 polity. Poll body wants stuck EVMs to be released. ECI alerts Supreme Court to the need for moving voting machines to UP and other states where polls are due. The issue is not important, but you need to understand the various constitutional provisions relating to the conduct of elections in India. So that is very important from this article. So the next article is good enough for a general reading. Caste census needed for Muslims too. So it's not about the issue, but have a good understanding about the caste census, the debate, the ongoing debate regarding it. Next, something for your geography and for your environment. Assam wetland at risk till dumping stops, says activist. Notification alone will not help. This was an issue that was discussed earlier. That is the notification on the eco-sensitive zone of the Deeparbil Wildlife Sanctuary. The issue has already been discussed, and this is Assam's only Ramsar site, a wetland designated to be of international importance under the Ramsar Convention. The Ramsar Convention and Ramsar sites globally, it's very important, and the Ramsar sites in India is extremely important. The recent developments related to it, make sure that you are aware about it. And for your exam point of view, for your GS mains, it is important from the conservation and degradation and environmental pollution perspective. The next three articles are relating to the Afghanistan issue and specifically America in relation to Afghanistan. So have a good reading about it. The first one, era of wars to remake countries is over. We must set missions with clear achievable goals, not ones we'll never reach, says President Biden. So this is after the withdrawal of the American troops from Afghanistan. The second one, Biden had pressed Ghani to change perception. A phone conversation between Ashraf Ghani and Joe Biden. Have a reading about it. And the third one, what did America achieve in Afghanistan in 20 years? For the first time since October 2001, there are no troops in Afghanistan. So all the three articles are written based on the withdrawal of US from Afghanistan. Have a good reading and a fair understanding. No need to mug up the facts. So the next is an article on Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka declares economic emergency to contain food prices. Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had declared an economic emergency to contain soaring inflation after a steep fall in the value of the country's currency caused a spike in food prices. So, though this article is about the economic emergency declared in Sri Lanka, you need to understand inflation in depth. The various concepts related to inflation and its repercussions in the economy is very, very important. A good understanding about the concept of inflation will help you in understanding the newspaper articles relating to it. Even for your exam, the concepts related to inflation are asked for your prelims as well. So try to understand more about inflation, and this article specifically about Sri Lanka. India and its neighborhood relations is very important, and Sri Lanka is very important as far as India is considered. So have a good reading about the article. The last article for the day, another one from Economy. August manufacturing PMI shows recovery losing steam. Survey shows reading slipping to 52.3 from July's 55.3. Input cost pressures linger. So the purchasing managers index we discussed earlier in an article. So this concept is recurring in 2 places in today's newspaper. So make sure that you try to understand in depth what the PMI or the purchasing managers index is. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and this was Daily News Leads.